mountain. These mountains are called the mountains of Naphtali, from the tribe of Naphtali, here in the Upper Galilee. Our elevation is 850 meters, and we get snow in the winter, and it's nice and cool here in the summertime, and we love our mountain. There are 4 things that make our mountain unique in all of Israel. Number 1 is the proximity, the closeness to the border. Here at Kibbutz Misgav Am, the border between Israel and Lebanon is the fence. Everything on the other side of the fence is Lebanon. The fence here on the side of the road. The second thing that makes us unique is that we share our kibbutz with the Israeli army. There's cameras up here, and this beautiful green antenna here is all military frequencies, and there's all kinds of things here. And the people that live and monitor the equipment work here on the kibbutz. They live on the kibbutz. And we're sitting on their ceiling. They work down here underneath. There is also a small contingent of armed soldiers to protect the military stuff here, and they live in the shack down there. The third thing that makes us unique is this beautiful panoramic view. And this is the only place in Israel where we can see simultaneously at the same time Syria, Israel, Lebanon, and the Mediterranean. Now, we look out today and we don't see anything. So you just have to believe me or not. I don't care, it's still out there. Out there is the Mediterranean. See it? I can prove it because it's on the map. How many of you people have heard of the biblical city of Tyre, Tirus? Good for you. No, that's good. Sometimes I get groups that nobody's ever heard of it. This is Tyre, on the Mediterranean coast of what is today Lebanon. If you go straight across up here on top of the mountain, this is where our kibbutz is. Here where it's green is the valley down here that you came through. And this valley is called the Hula Valley. And it also has another name in Israel. We call it the Finger of Galilee. Because like a finger, it comes up north. Here is the border. This is Galilee and this is Lebanon. And we come up way up north, and we divide Syria from Lebanon. That's why it's called the Finger of Galilee. Here, on the very tip, is a settlement called Metula. And today we can see it there. It's in the sunlight in the valley down there. And that's Metula. Now, Metula was established in 1896. Tel Aviv was established in 1909. All of these things and all the land here in the Galilee was purchased by the Jewish people and lived in by the Jewish people still in the time of the Turks. You guys in Hungary understand about the Ottoman Turks. You know that history. So I don't have to tell you about that. What you need to know is that in this area, this was the Syrian province of the Turkish Ottoman Empire until after the First World War. Then the French and the British came in and they screwed everything up. And all the countries here in the Middle East, this area is called the Levant, all the areas here in the Middle East were part of 2 provinces, the Iraqi province and the Syrian province. There were no countries here. There has never been Iraq. There has never been Syria. Never Lebanon, never Jordan, never Palestine. These are all new countries created by the French and British out of the Turkish Ottoman Empire. Understand, the people here are called Arabs, but that's generic. That's not true. They're not Arabs. Arabs are Bedouin from Saudi Arabia. If you're not a Bedouin and you're not from Saudi Arabia, you're not an Arab. You can be Muslim, but you're not an Arab. There have only been 2 countries here outside of Turkey. Egypt and Iran, which is Persia. Those are countries, sovereign nations, thousands of years old. Everybody else here is parts of other people's empires. Genghis Khan was here. The Romans were here. The Byzantines were here. Everybody was here. These people are all made up from different groups and everything. When I was in the army, I was in the Sinai, and I served with the Bedouins there. And they have a saying, the Bedouins. They're the Arabs, right? That Allah first created the Bedou. After the Bedou, He created the camels. And from the shit of the camels, He created the people that live here. That's how the Bedouins, that's how the real Arabs relate to the rest of the people around here. That's why I say they're called Arabs, because there's nothing else to call them, because there's never been a country. And that's why it's all falling apart now, because none of these countries around here are homogeneous. They're not. It's made up by the French and the British. The French made up Lebanon to be a Christian country in 1919, right? In the Versailles, and then later on was called the League of Nations. And they accepted Lebanon as a Christian country because it's Christian. That's cool. There were 4 religious groups in Lebanon that the French didn't even think about. Sunnis, Shiites, Druze, and Christians. But the French said it's a Christian country. Today, there's only 12% Christians in Lebanon. Lebanon is a Muslim country, and it is ruled and controlled by the Hezbollah, who are a Shiite jihadist organization funded by Iran. They had a 16-year civil war in there, killed everybody. Terrible. You've all heard of Sabra and Shatila and all that stuff. That was during this civil war between the Muslims and the Christians. Today there's only 12% Christians. In this area around us here, there used to be 50% Christians. Today there's only 3%. Because the Hezbollah doesn't like Christians, and they don't like Jews. They don't like anybody very much. There's only 3%, and last year Allah came down and told the Hezbollah that he gets pissed off at the church bells. That pisses him off. He gets very insulted. And well, Allah's a very nervous fellow and a very short fuse, and he gets upset with all sorts of things. And he tells the Hezbollah exactly what he gets pissed off at, and then everybody has to live like that, you see, otherwise they kill you. That's the way things are here. That's how stupid these people are. Allah gets offended. No. Okay. The difference between Palestine and Lebanon is that the League of Nations did not allow Britain to create a country, a state of Palestine, because the Jews were here, and the Muslims were here, and the League of Nations didn't want another Muslim country. So they gave Britain a mandate. They said, okay, you can have control, but you can't make a country. In other words, there has never, ever been a country of Palestine. Never a parliament, never elections, never a government. It was all British. When the United States of America did not sign up for the League of Nations, it collapsed. And nobody was there to tell the British what to do. The British didn't want a Jewish homeland because they were always in favor, and they still are, they're in favor of the Muslims. So they took 2/3 of Palestine from the Jordan River east, and they created a new country called Transjordan. And then they went to Saudi Arabia and they took a tribe of Bedouins called the Hashemites, and they brought them back to Amman and they said, you're the new monarchs, right? This is British police, British army. You're the new monarchs, and you guys today know the place as the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan. If you think this is some kind of ancient country that has been here for thousands of years, that's bullshit. It was created by the British. The people who live there are 80% Palestinian. There's no difference between the Jordanians and the Palestinians, or the Syrians or the Lebanese. They're all Syrian Arabs. Understand this. This is all bullshit. You also need to understand, after the Turks, Salah ad-Din, after the Turks kicked out the Christians from the Middle East, there is a law in Islam that no non-Muslim can be sovereign in holy Muslim territory. Wherever Muslims live, this is holy land, and no non-Muslim can be sovereign. Therefore, there's no more Christians in Lebanon, and they can't sign a cease, they can't get rid of us, but they will not make peace with us here. They will not recognize Israel as the home of the Jewish people, because it's right in the middle of their waqf, of their holy Muslim land. And it's against their religion to allow us to have peace. It has nothing to do with settlements, has nothing to do with anything, it's all religious. And as you're watching the world today, you people need to understand, as far as I am concerned, this is World War III, and it's a religious war. This is about Islam, getting back at the Crusades. Everything swings around. But you need to understand, as far as I'm concerned, this is what's going on here, and it has nothing to do with politics or diplomacy or anything else. Religion. If you're not a Muslim, you're dead. Either convert or die. That's the way it is. That's the way these people here, our neighbors, live, and that's the way the whole world out here is going. That's what it is. Everything else is bullshit. Everything else is people not willing to accept what's right in front of their face. We are at war with the jihadists. Not with all Muslims. All Muslims are not terrorists. But the jihadists are, the fundamentalists are, and they're the ones that are running things. As far as the innocent people are concerned, they're irrelevant. They don't care what's going on. The people here, they don't care. They have jobs, they have money, they have their kids are in school, they're all working. They don't care that they want to go out and kill Jews and Christians and anybody else. They don't care. Which is why I don't care. Okay. Let me tell you about a kibbutz. Our kibbutz, Misgav Am, was established in 1945. All the kibbutzim here were established before the state of Israel. And we have 220 people, 100 of whom are permanent residents, and 120 are students from the university down below at Tel Chai. There's thousands of students studying there, but because our neighbors have the place zeroed in and they shoot, we don't want to put all of our students in one place so that we could have thousands of casualties. So they're not allowed to stay there, to sleep there. So they have to spread out. You know, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So we have 120 students here. For us, that serves two purposes. Number one, you need to understand agriculture. Anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter where, there is an inbuilt problem of cash flow. You put the seed in the ground until you harvest the crop, all you have is bills to pay. Just think about that. You still have to pay everything, rent and gasoline and food and water and everything. And it's still growing, so you need money. So the fact that we have 120 students paying 120 monthly rents is very good for our cash flow. Number two, in this area, there are only two ways to make a living: agriculture and tourism. My son does 4 years high school, does 3 years army, does 4 years university, gets a degree. He doesn't want to sell ice cream to tourists. I don't blame him. I don't need him down in the fields because of the advancements in agriculture. I get along with much less people than when I was a kid working down here. We used to have 50, 60 people working in the fields. I don't need that today. Therefore, my son has nothing to do here. He has no way to make a living. So we have this demographic hole in the kibbutz, all the kibbutzim around here. We have young people and we have old farts like me. And there's nobody in the middle. So the fact that we have 120 students, young people living here, having a good time, making their parties and this and that keeps us young and frisky, and we change it's good for us. It's good for us. So for the kibbutz, it's a win-win situation. Our main source of income on the kibbutz is agriculture, and we grow cotton, wheat, sweet corn, sunflower seeds for the cooking oil, cherry tomatoes, avocados, gefilte fish in our fish ponds. Up here on the top we have vineyards and chickens. And that's our agriculture, that's our main source of income. Our third source of income are you people, tourists. This is new for us because in the year 2000, 14 years ago, when Israel came out of South Lebanon and the Hezbollah took over, they started shooting at anybody. And you have to understand that those buses are beautiful targets. It's bigger than the tank. It's softer than the tank. There's more people in it than a tank. And nobody shoots back.